So provided that we have an equation, ax squared plus bx is equal to 0. Now it has to be in this form. We can simply just take the coefficients a, b, and c and plug it into the quadratic formula. And our answers for x will just simply fall out of the formula. Here are some key guidelines though. Ensure that the equation is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. We need to identify a, b, c. We're going to plug in the formula a, b, and c, and we're going to calculate. There's two things that I would like us to do. I would like us to write out the formula every time that we're going to use it. Second thing I would like us to concentrate on is the order of operations bed mass. So we're going to solve using the quadratic formula. And we're going to leave our answer in lowest radical form. So here is my equation. X squared plus 6x plus 5 is equal to 0. First thing I would like us to do is simply write out the formula. This way I'm communicating to you what I'm going to use. Secondly, I want to identify our coefficients a, b, and c. Now, this is where one side is equal to 0, so the quadratic equation is in the proper form. And I pick out a is equal to 1, because there's a secret 1 in front of that x squared. B is equal to 6. C is equal to 5. All I'm going to do is plug in my values for a, b, and c into this quadratic formula. And what I get is x is equal to negative b, and that is negative 6, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that's 6 squared, minus 4, a is 1, c is 5, divided by 2 times 1. So just need to simplify this out. What's really important to sort of recognize is that we need to simplify what's under the radicand first. So what we have is x is equal to negative 6 plus or minus the square root. Now, if we're looking at this expression underneath the radicand, we have to evaluate the exponent first. So 6 squared is 36. And then we move on to our multiplication. So subtract 4 times 1 times 5. Now that's 20. All of that divided by 2. So let's simplify what's underneath the radical. I'm going to continue. So we have negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 20, 16, divided by 2. I'm going to carry out my work here. X is equal to negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 16 divided by 2. So x is equal to negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 16 is 4 divided by 2. So we have this very beautiful, nice expression that we're able to pick out our solutions now. So my x1, my first solution is negative 6 minus 4 divided by 2. Negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10 divided by 2. So the first solution is negative 5. The second solution is negative 6 plus 4 divided by 2. So negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2 divided by 2. And that is going to be negative 1. So my solutions are negative 5 and negative 1. Next one. A, B, C. I'm going to pick out my coefficients of A, B, and C. But first, I should probably write out, before I do anything, I'm not going to jump into it because that's when I make mistakes. I'm going to simply write out the formula. Does this formula always work? Provided you're doing it correctly, it always works. So when I take a look at my quadratic equation, the coefficient of A is 2. Coefficient of B is negative 4. The coefficient of C is negative 1. So I'm just going to plug in those numbers. So x is equal to negative, and b is negative 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared. So b is negative 4. Square that. Minus 4 times a, which is 2, times negative 1. All of that divided by 2 times 2. I'm going to clean this up a bit, if you don't mind. I'm going to talk about the yellow, and talk about the orange, I'm going to talk about the blue. This one, when b is negative, we could have an interesting scenario where negative 4 just really means positive 4, plus or minus the square root. Now, if you notice, I just simply write the square root. And I need to do the order of operations of my radicand. So I need to do the exponent first. Negative 4 squared is 16. Subtract. Then I need to move on to the blue, which is multiplication. Bedmass, exponents, multiplication, division. So 4 times 2 times negative 1, and that is negative 8. Divided by the denominator is 4. So just quickly simplifying what's going on. So 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 minus negative 8. Well, that just turns it into adding a positive, right? And I believe that is 24 all over 4. And we're almost done. So I'm just going to simply write it. X is equal to 4 plus or minus the square root of 24 all over 4. What I'm going to do is I recognize that I can simplify this radical. So this is nearly done. So I'm just going to say x is equal to 4 plus or minus. Well, the root of 24 is 2 root 6 divided by 4. Now, I'll show you that right after, but just trust me, the root of 24 is 2 root 6. What I am able to recognize is that both the top and bottom have a factor of 2. So I'm going to divide both top and bottom by 2, so that'll be 2. Plus or minus root 6 divided by 2. Two things I want you to go over is the first one is root 24. Root of 24 can be thought of as 4 times 6. So that's root 4 times root 6 and 2 root 6. That's why root 24 I simplified to 2 root 6. Secondly is when I took 4 plus or minus 2 root 6 all over 4. I divided both top and bottom by 2. But alternatively, you could factor out 2 from the top. You could factor out 2 from the bottom. You can cross out your common factor of 2, since they're the same. And that's where you get 2 plus or minus root 6 over